Boston University's 147th commencement is about to begin. Please rise as you are able.
Good afternoon. I'm Kenneth Feld, Chairman of Boston University's Board of Trustees. On behalf of all the trustees and University Advisory Board members, it's my honor to declare, without further delay, the 147th commencement of Boston University to honor the class of 2020 is now in order. I ask that you please remain standing for the national anthem to be led by Mr. Rizam Lindsay, who is a third-year student in the College of Fine Arts. And following the anthem, remain standing for the invocation. The invocation will be delivered by the Reverend Dr. Robert Allen Hill, Dean of Marsh Chapel. Thereafter, President Robert Brown will preside over the ceremonies.
Let us bow for a moment of prayer. Gracious God, holy and just, after a time of delay and a season of postponement, we are gathered together here and now. Here and now we are grateful for the memories that we bring to this moment and celebration, a celebration delayed but not deferred. Here and now we are grateful for the hopes that we bring to this moment and celebration, a celebration delayed but not denied. Around us are signs of accomplishment, voices of encouragement, embraces and congratulation, and the simple smiles of real joy in degrees granted and received, and in lives expanded, opened, and matured. May these signs and seals of grace accompany us in memory and hope in the days to come. And may this experience of delay give us confidence when waiting is required, as it so often is in life, to recall the apostles' wisdom. Hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what he sees? We hope for what we do not see, and so wait for it with patience. By practice, may we become patient people. So now we pause here and now in quiet, awaiting the gladness of accomplishment requited, thinking in thanks of friends who helped us, remembering in gratitude our families who supported us, picturing in recollection a moment of thrill and learning, acknowledging in humility a mistake made, enjoying with full hearts just now the sense of completion given us in this hour. Gracious God, holy and just, grant us thy patience and peace. Grant us thy patience and peace. Grant us thy patience and peace. Amen.
Please be seated. Good afternoon. It may have taken 17 months, but it is a pleasure to welcome you to Nickerson Field, the members of the class of 2020. And your guests. You told us you wanted to return to campus, and you did. You came from 46 states, representing 61 countries. We are honored by your presence here today, and many of you who are joining us via the internet. Your senior year was interrupted like no other by the first global pandemic in a century, and you were forced to move off campus and adapt to Zoom learning. You have moved on to the next phase of your life and professional career, all with COVID-19 raging. And you have come back to campus today. I could not be more proud of you. There has never been a class more deserving of a commencement. I now present Mr. Mackin Murphy, a graduate of the College of Arts and Sciences and a Kilochon Honor Scholar. Mr. Murphy was chosen to be the student speaker in the spring of 2020 and has, to our delight, been able to be with us today to speak on behalf of the class of 2020. Mr. Murphy.
Folks, please bear with me today. I first wrote this speech in 2019, and I've had to rewrite this thing like 4 times. Last summer, I added a line about masks, and then this summer I got to take it out, but now they're telling me I should put it back in again. All my jokes about Donald Trump expired. I tried to write some jokes about Joe Biden, but they were a little low energy. So, what you're getting today is the Delta draft of my speech. Thank you, President Brown, for the introduction. You and I are on the same wavelength today. They can't make us wear the hats. Thank you to all the professors and staff. Thank you to the parents, friends, and family. Thank you to everyone who actually came back to Boston to graduate. And thank you to everybody watching this online. I don't blame you. Frankly, I asked if I could do this over Zoom. But wherever you are, settle in, and let's take a moment to reflect on our time together. I want to start today with a quote from someone with whom we are about to share an alma mater, the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, and I quote, "Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. The complete education gives one not only powers of concentration, but worthy objectives upon which to concentrate." End quote. Intelligence plus character. It's easy to forget the second part of that formula. It's tempting to view an undergraduate degree as a narrow investment in one's career rather than a broader investment in one's life, as a journey meant to reap financial dividends rather than personal ones. My peers have certainly honed their intelligence here at BU, in classrooms, in office hours, in dorm rooms during late-night debates with friends, and at 2 a.m. in Mugar the night before a final. We're now ready to design software, design policies, write books, write code, teach classes, run businesses. I could go on. My peers are going to accomplish things I haven't even thought of that will surprise and delight me when I hear the news. I know that soon I'll have the pleasure of saying, I used to go to class with them. This class is overflowing with intelligence. I'm proud to report, however, that Boston University has not forgotten the second part of Dr. King's formula. These students have character. For hundreds of us, our first week at BU was spent not in class gaining intelligence, but in our communities, gaining character, doing service. as participants in the Phi-Stop program. And even when class started, our character education did not end. The first questions my professor asked me in my first class at Boston University weren't ones you can find answers to by looking in the back of the book. They asked, what are your values? Where do they come from? Why do you believe them? Now, granted, these were weighty questions for a group of 18-year-olds at 9 in the morning. But these questions, and questions like these, set the tone for my education and the education of my classmates. One need only enter a BU classroom to know our values. Students discuss deeply held disagreements in conversations defined by respect and goodwill. Individuals of diverse backgrounds and ideologies work together in their pursuit of knowledge of what is and what matters. In my hardest classes at BU, other students would take time out of their day to meet with me and teach me and tutor me for exams we were both taking, even ones with a curve. There was not a single moment where I felt competitive with any of my fellow classmates. No, I realized early on that we were all fighting on the same team against the professors. It may feel, for many of you, that the sunset of your education was taken from you. I know none of you planned to graduate late from an online university. But even our strange final semester taught us lessons. Think for a moment. What was your last class on this campus? We all share the surreal experience of walking out of that class not knowing it was our last one. In many cases, leaving our dorm rooms not knowing we would never return. Consider this another hard-taught lesson in character. Cherish this experience, because the next isn't promised. And so, before we reached the classroom, during our time in it, and even after we left it, our time at BU was an education in both intelligence and character. Yes, we studied science. We also discovered the importance of service. Yes, we worked on our mathematics, our writing, our coding, but we also reflected on our morals and values. Yes, we studied history. We also learned that we're living in it. Now, at last, it is time to concentrate on worthy goals, display our intelligence, and prove our character. The faces in front of me will be recognized in their fields for their excellence, but they will also be recognized by those around them as kind, generous people, as role models and allies, as mothers and fathers, as personal heroes, and as friends. Thank you, Boston University, for endowing us with intelligence and character. Thank you, class of 2020. I'm so excited to watch all of your journeys unfold. It has been an honor to accompany you on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. I would now like to call upon Ms. Adia Armstrong, a graduate of the Pardee School of Global Studies, and Mr. Cameron Bonhurst, a graduate of the Questrom School of Business, who served as co-chairs of the class gift campaign.
Thank you, President Brown. On behalf of the class of 2020, we want to express our gratitude and excitement about belonging to a community of Boston University alumni, alongside so many distinguished scholars, activists, change makers, and innovators. Adia, you know what? I wasn't sure if we'd ever be able to be back on campus for our graduation, but here we are. I know the class of 2021 physically graduated before us, but this is our first time back on campus since March of 2020. We should celebrate by talking about the amazing perseverance and contribution of our class, right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. For years to come, When you think of the Boston University class of 2020, you'll think not only of perseverance, but of resilience. Almost exactly a year and a half ago, we packed up our lives in Boston, completed our senior year online in a fully virtual environment, and transitioned to post-grad life, all under a cloud of complete uncertainty. Yet, despite that, our class upheld the community-centric values that BU has instilled within us, and we've come together to support each other academically, professionally, emotionally, and mentally. And for that, I am extremely thankful.
I couldn't agree more. Amidst the hardship, our class still focused on giving back. During our senior year, 1,905 of us gave back not to BU, but rather through BU. We supported clubs, colleges, scholarships, and hundreds of other causes that provided such meaning to the Terrier community. We want to say thank you to each and every one of you who gave back to the community that we all know and love and strengthened our legacy at BU. The contributions we provided to BU during our senior year and those we've continued to give as alumni are only just the beginning of what we'll accomplish as alumni out in the world. And I can't wait to see what we accomplish in the years to come, not just as individuals, but as a group.
The class gift embodies passing the baton to the next generation of Terriers. By creating a legacy of philanthropy, we are encouraging those who follow us to do the same. So thank you again to all of the class of 2020 alumni who donated, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. President Brown, fellow class of 2020 alumni, and current and future Terriers, it is my pleasure to present the class gift in the amount of $65,605. Here's to the future of Boston University and our impact on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Armstrong and Mr. Bonhurst. And thank you, the class of 2020. The class gift is a tangible expression of your commitment to Boston University. This commitment began when you first enrolled as students and continues today as active, engaged alumni. In the life of a university, faculty come and go, presidents come and go, but alumni are its constant, unending link to its past, present, and future. I'm now pleased to present J.R. Hipple, past president of the Boston University Alumni Association, who will speak to you on behalf of the alumni. Mr. Hipple.
Mr. Feld, President Brown, distinguished guests, I am delighted on behalf of the Boston University Alumni Association to congratulate you for your graduation in 2020. And isn't it just great to see each other again in person and not on Zoom? And thank you, Cameron and Adia and Mackin for those wonderful remarks. What great representatives of your class that they are. I'm honored to share with you 3 insights on your future as an alum. And if you follow them, it will have an amazing impact on you and on BU. First and foremost, keep and grow your BU connections. Stay in touch with the university and your BU network. And what a great testament to you all already doing that by being here and the energy of your involvement here. Support each other and help make this great university an even better place. The more you do that, the bigger impact we all will have. You have already joined the ranks of over 350,000 living alumni. You are part of a global community with BU alums in 185 out of 196 countries. There are countless ways to be involved, and 3 of those that are most popular with your now fellow alums is to provide mentoring, coaching, and early job assistance for current students. I know many of you experienced that when you were students, which wasn't that long ago. Again, network with local and online alumni groups to gain support for your lives, gain support for your careers, and to give support to others. BU Connects is a reasonably new online resource that the alumni department has put together that already has 15,000 active participants. I encourage you to engage with that. And support the faculty and staff of your of your college or school and the university at large. I promise you, the more you're involved, the more you'll get back, and you'll never get back more than you'll never give more than you get back. Second, keep learning. Embrace the love of learning, which has been defined as the creative spirit that promotes intellectual and personal growth through exploration, inquiry, and openness to change. Exploration, inquiry, and openness to change. You all have experienced that in a big way in the last year. The rate of change is accelerating so fast that practicing lifelong learning is essential to your continued growth and development as an adult. Your education wasn't so much about what to think, but how to think. And that's an essential foundation to being critical thinkers and lifelong learners. Your class has already experienced extraordinary adversity and challenges as students and during your formative years when you were growing up. You learned how to adapt to new methods of learning, including Zoom, for the love of it, most of the time. You learned to be flexible and to roll with changes. You learned there are different paths to a common end. Psychologists have long proven that adult mental development and learning are aided when you take on challenging situations. It helps the brain continue to grow. Your experiences have uniquely prepared you for those situations, seeking truth and understanding through education. And BU is a great place to help you along your lifelong learning journey. BU has some of the finest graduate and continuing education programs in the world, both in person and online, with more to come. Take advantage of those. Third and finally, be a force for positive change. We are in a historic period of time in America and across the world. So years from now, historians will look back on how people responded to the unprecedented social justice, economic, health, and environmental challenges. As you go forward in life, ask yourself, is my community, is my workplace, is my family, is my BU better off because I'm a part of it? Your class is one of the most academically accomplished and socially active classes in BU history. You demonstrated what Ken Elmore, our BU's wonderful Associate Provost and Dean of Students, has described as unrelentless curiosity, questioning, and support for social causes. And you had the perseverance to earn your degree, as was said earlier, during this incredible uncertainty during the pandemic. Now, we need you to apply your intelligence skills to help others. And in the words, and I will repeat similar words to what Cameron talked about, in the words of fellow BU alum Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Those wonderful words. Again, congratulations on your 2020 graduation. I am thrilled that you are and have been a member of the Boston University Alumni Association. I have great hope and optimism for the future because of you.
Thank you, Mr. Hippel. Teaching is an art. It is also one of the most important functions of a university, as it helps to mold the next generation of informed citizens and creative thinkers. The late Dr. Arthur G.B. Metcalf, an alumnus, faculty member, and trustee, founded and endowed the Metcalf Cup and Prize for Excellence in Teaching at Boston University to recognize great practitioners of this art. Candidates for the award are nominated by members of the Boston University community, and a committee of faculty and students then submits its recommendations to the university provost and then to me. It is indeed difficult to select a winner of the Metcalf Cup and Prize because all of the candidates are outstanding. 2 finalists in the competition will receive the Metcalf Award for Excellence in Teaching. Today, we formally honor the 3 faculty members who were the winners and finalists last year and announced in May 2020. Will the Dean of Arts and Sciences, Dan Skarloff, present the winner of the 2020 Metcalf Award for Excellence in Teaching?
President Brown, I have the honor to present Seth Blumenthal, winner of the 2020 Metcalf Award.
As a senior lecturer in Boston University's College of Arts and Sciences writing program, Seth E. Blumenthal has helped a generation of students from across all disciplines develop as effective communicators. His enthusiasm is infectious. His methods are often innovative. The director of the writing program hails Blumenthal as a leader in mentoring and experiential learning. Recognizing that powerful writing is rooted in experience, he asks that his students engage with the subjects they write about. So students writing about the electoral process are encouraged to work on political campaigns. Dr. Blumenthal's scholarship informs his teaching. As a historian who studies and writes about recent American culture and politics, he calls upon students to place history in a contemporary perspective in their writing. The dean of the college says, he exemplifies the ideal of a teacher-scholar. While a colleague marvels at his ability to teach several composition courses a year while remaining active in scholarly writing and conferences. His students round out this glowing assessment in reviews filled with adjectives both respectful, such as knowledgeable, authentic, insightful, and effusive, like incredible, amazing, best. Dr. Blumenthal believes that the education of students receive should inspire them to engage with the world beyond the classroom. He exemplifies this idea. For this reason, Boston University is pleased to present Dr. Seth Blumenthal with the Metcalf Award for Excellence in Teaching. Will Dean Sujin Pak of the School of Theology present the winner of the 2020 Metcalf Award for Excellence in Teaching?
President Brown, I have the honor to present Courtney Goto, winner of the 2020 Metcalf Award.
Spiritually transformative. This is how students and colleagues describe interaction with Courtney T. Goto, an associate professor of religious education at Boston University School of Theology. Professor Goto works at the intersection of theory and practice, belief and action. She cultivates a welcoming spiritual environment in her classrooms while challenging students to know themselves, learn from each other, develop empathy, and examine assumptions and biases. Students are impressed by her ability to link activities not usually found in a theology classroom, such as movement, cooking, and multisensory analysis with course topics. Students feel free to think deeply and speak frankly about racism, culture, and faith. She is a brilliant teacher whose pedagogy engages the wholeness of a person, remarks her dean. The Faculty Teaching Awards Committee cited, in particular, her use of audio feedback to student work as ingenious and pioneering. After 11 years at Boston University, Professor Goto still surprises. But one thing we have come to expect, glowing evaluations. What a journey, exclaimed one. Another called her course life-changing, while one student stated she has changed their relationship with the divine. In a word, her teaching is transformative. She brings exuberance, friendship, collaboration, eagerness to learn, and down-to-earth wisdom to every community she enters. For her commitment to connecting students with each other and with other cultures, and her passion for multi-format experiential teaching, Boston University proudly honors Professor Courtney Goto with the Metcalf Award for Excellence in Teaching. Will Dean Angela Onwachi-Willig of the School of Law present the winner of the 2020 Metcalf Cup and Prize for Excellence in Teaching?
President Brown, I have the honor to present Sarah Sherman Stokes, the winner of the 2020 Metcalf Cup and Prize.
Since arriving at Boston University School of Law in 2013, Sarah R. Sherman Stokes has played a central role in lifting the immigration law program to national prominence. A clinical associate professor of law and the associate director of BU's Immigrants' Rights and Human Trafficking program, she is an exceptional practitioner of experiential learning, committed to helping students, in her words, learn how to learn. She does just that, guiding students to process their experiences, support their learning, and gain new skills that ensure future success. More than 50 alumni signed a letter nominating her for BU's most prestigious teaching award. Professor Sherman Stokes consistently earns a perfect score in student evaluations. Students laud an excellent, substantial, substantive educational experience with a teacher possessing a fountain of knowledge and who makes us want to be the best students we can. The Dean of the School of Law adds, Sarah has been an extraordinary teacher, not only capably instructing, but also modeling relentless advocacy and grace in intellectually challenging and emotionally grueling immigration work. In classrooms and clinic, Professor Sherman Stokes inspires and prepares students to change the world through a pedagogy she says aimed to tackle social justice on both a micro and macro scale. It is with great pride that Boston University presents Professor Sarah Sherman Stokes the university's highest teaching award, the Metcalf Cup and Prize for Excellence in Teaching. We now present the candidates for the university's honorary degree. Will Trustee Ruth Moorman and Dean Karen Antman escort our honored guests to the podium?
Mr. President.
Trustee Moorman.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present the Thomas Insolf for the Boston University's honorary degree.
Oh, you're not going anywhere yet. No. All you got so far is the hood. You entered Boston University as a precocious 15-year-old in our 6-year BA MD program. But you are not one to stand still. You put your studies on hold to travel the world, seeing at close range how vital care was delivered. You returned to graduate from the School of Medicine with an interest in tropical medicine, but instead chose a path in psychiatry. You continued your relentless exploration for the benefit of mankind, challenging accepted conventions as you went. Your research on serotonin led to breakthroughs in medications for depression and obsessive compulsive disorder. As a that was obsessive compulsive. As a neuroscientist, you showed us the role of neuropeptides in maternal care and monogamy in animals, for the first time mapping complex behavior back to neurobiology. You embarked on a career as an administrator at Emory's Primate Research Center, where you worked on the science of attachment at a molecular level. And then, in public service, as director of the National Institute for Mental Health, you led the institute into the promising fields of neuroscience and genomics. Most recently, you co-founded MindStrong Health, a startup designed to transform mental health care using technology. At a young age, your potential was clear, but no one would have foreseen how you would forever change our understanding of the mind and would pave the way for effective treatments for millions with mental illness, while reducing the stigma attached to it. We cannot wait to see what is next. Tom Insel, doctor, scientist, public service, and technologist, we are proud to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Will Trustee Ryan Roth Gallo and Dean Adil Najam escort our honored guest to the podium?
Mr. President?
Yeah. Trustee Gallo.
Mr. President?
Trustee Gallo.
I have the great honor to present Yolanda Kakastre for Boston University's honorary degree.
You have always treasured the delicate balance of nature. Over a lifetime, you have advocated tirelessly for biodiversity, conservation, environmental justice, and sought to forge the political consensus to achieve that balance. You have taught us to tread lightly upon the planet that nurtures us. In your career, you have led an unrelenting campaign against ignorance, heedless development, and complacency. You founded Fundación Natura, dedicated to sustainable growth in your native Ecuador, and went on to found Fundación Futuro Latino America to unite environmental protection efforts across all of Latin America. You served your country as Minister of Environment, working for sustainable policies on water, land, and chemical use. You coordinated some 5,000 NGOs for the United Nations 1992 Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. And you became a truly global force as president of the International Union for Conservation of Nature and president of the World Wildlife Fund International, one of the world's leading conservation organizations with over 5 million supporters globally in operations in more than 100 countries. Yolanda Kakabadze, while no one can save the world, you're working on it. And we are proud to confer upon you the degree Honors Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. Will Trustee Antoinette Leatherberry and Dean Sandro Galea escort our honored guest to the podium?
President Brown.
Trustee Leatherberry.
President Brown, I have the esteemed honor to present David Satcher for the Boston University honorary degree.
Years ago, as a toddler in segregated Alabama, you contracted whooping cough. The only African-American doctor in the area came, and though doubting you would survive, spent the day tending to you and instructing your parents on proper care. That event inspired you to become a doctor and help those in need. You have paid it forward 1,000-fold. Your resume speaks for itself. U.S. Surgeon General and Assistant Secretary of Health, Director of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, President of Morehouse School of Medicine and Meharry Medical College, and founder of the Satcher Health Leadership Institute. But your most important and enduring role is as a voice of our collective conscience in matters of public health. You have focused on eliminating race and income-based disparities in care, promoting sexual health among teens, spurring an open and honest discussion of mental illness, and cultivating leadership and diversity in your field. You advocate and provide for the well-being of the most vulnerable. David Satcher, you have amplified your childhood doctor's lesson of compassion and service. We proudly honor your exemplary life by conferring upon you the degree Doctor of Law, honoris causa. Will University Provost Gene Morrison and Dean Harvey Young escort our honored guest to the podium?
Mr. President.
Provost Morrison.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present Mark Volpe for the Boston University honorary degree.
The son of a trumpeter in the Minnesota Orchestra, and a fine musician in your own right, a clarinetist, you imagined a life like your father's, performing on stage as part of an ensemble. Destiny had other plans, and off you went to law school. But music is in your blood. You joined an orchestra, but off stage as an administrator. You excelled in leadership roles at the Boston Symphony Orchestra, the Minnesota Orchestra, and the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. But those were mere rehearsals for your virtuoso performance. 23 years as managing director of the Boston Symphony Orchestra. In your capable hands, the BSO has become more accessible to more people than ever. The operating budget has nearly doubled and the endowment nearly tripled. You have overseen expansion at Tanglewood, including the recently opened Lindy Center for Music and Learning. The scope of the BSO's activities is unmatched anywhere in the world. But always, it is the music that thrills us. The extraordinarily talented people attracted to Symphony Hall reads like a who's who of the classical music world. Time and again, the BSO breathes stunning new life into the familiar canon and it introduces us to new electrifying works by today's most gifted composers. When you retired in June, you passed to your successor an orchestra at the very pinnacle of artistic excellence. Mark Volpe, your conscientious and inspired leadership was your instrument and has changed the music world for generations. We are proud to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. Will trustees Kenneth Feld and John Howe escort our honored guest to the podium?
Mr. President.
Trustee Feld.
Mr. President, it's my honor to present Victor Zhao for Boston University's honorary degree.
You are no stranger to change. Born in a comfortable life in Shanghai, you saw that life upended as your family fled communist rule to safety and poverty in Hong Kong. College took you half a world away to Montreal in a new culture. Even more cultural change awaited you as you pursued your career in the United States, from Massachusetts to California to North Carolina, moving seamlessly among roles as physician, researcher, and administrator. But it's not the changes you have adapted through that define your life. It's the changes that you have brought about. Millions now live longer, better lives because of your work. Your seminal research in cardiovascular medicine led to the development of ACE inhibitors that treat hypertension and congestive heart failure. You pioneered gene therapy for vascular disease. And in your leadership roles at Harvard, Stanford, and Duke universities, and now as president of the National Academy of Medicine, you have focused on creating a global system of quality, affordable health care. In a world of change, your intellectual curiosity, passion, and vision are as constant as the North Star, a guiding light for all. Victor Zhao, Boston University is proud to honor your trailblazing career by conferring upon you the degree Doctor of Science honoris causa. I now call upon Dr. Victor Zhao to deliver the 147th commencement address of Boston University.
President Brown, Mr. Feld, graduating class of 2020, distinguished faculty, family, and friends, good afternoon. It's great to be back in Boston, especially at Nickerson Field, while I've watched some very exciting soccer games in the past. So go Terriers. I know you guys are going to have a great season, soccer, and especially your hockey teams. So I'm so honored to be here with you today in person. Congratulations to you, class of 2020. First thing first, let's all join in a much-earned round of applause for you. Come on, do better. There you go. I'd like to thank President Brown for bringing us back together on this glorious day to celebrate. I also had, it's true, a shout out to the entire BU community and especially your family and loved ones who have supported you in the past year of difficulty. They were there for you. So let's have a round of applause for them too. And a good one. Now, this is a day of celebration, and typically a commencement, by definition, about beginnings. However, I must acknowledge the obvious. Due to COVID-19, here we are, celebrating your graduation more than a year after you complete your studies. So perhaps an atypical commencement is fitting for you, class of 2020, because there's nothing typical about you. Your generation already seen its fair share of crisis, a childhood marked by 9/11, an adolescence defined by 2008 financial crisis, and now an adulthood stamped by the greatest public health emergency in over a century. Pandemic has taken millions of lives around the world. It's chipped away at the very social fabric and has upended our sense of normalcy. COVID robbed you of a traditional senior year. Little did you know that when you left for spring break, you weren't coming back. You did not get to say goodbye or share 4 years of memories with your friends and classmates together. And you start a career in a world of disarray and uncertainty. So, although we're celebrating today, I'm sure you're still feeling anxiety about the future and some frustration and confusion about where to go from here. But here's the thing, graduates. I'm confident that you have what it takes to not only meet these challenges, but to overcome them. You've already demonstrated incredible resilience and fortitude. You have prevailed, and here we are together with each other today. But if history tells us anything, it is that there will be more crises and challenges in our future. The same is true in our personal lives. So I won't wish a crisis on anyone, but as painful as they can be, crisis setbacks can also present opportunities. If you can view adversity this way as a chance to learn, to grow, to emerge stronger and wiser, then we can face the future with great confidence. I'm here today because, like so many others, I too had to learn how to overcome obstacles in my life's path. Indeed, some of the twists and turns along my own path turned into incredible opportunities. President Brown invited me to share my, quote, successful journey in the hopes that it will help inform yours. And his invitation letter to me said, as an immigrant to Canada and then United States, you have impacted the lives of millions of individuals around the globe because of your work on ACE inhibitors that treat high blood pressure and heart failure. He goes on to mention my leadership at Harvard, Stanford, Duke, and now National Academy of Medicine. And he says my story is one that should serve as a model for you. Well, President Brown, you used the word success to describe my work, but success may look very different to different people. Success could mean researching cures for a devastating disease, or leading the fight for social justice, or pursuing your creative ideas, or achieving wealth. But whatever your definition, a common determinant of success is learning from your failures. So, indeed, each of my so-called success sprouted from seeds of adversity. When I was a researcher searching for answers in the lab, before I was a researcher searching for answers in the lab, I was a refugee searching for a home away from crisis. Before I was the head of a large health system at Duke, I was a trainee struggling with burnout. Nothing has come easily to me, but it is those very challenges that help shape my character and even presented some of the most unexpected opportunities in my life. So today, instead of focusing on my success, I want to talk to you about my failures, the twists and turns I encountered along the way. And of course, each one of you will follow a very different journey with your own ups and downs, and you define success differently. My story is one of an immigrant, but I hope by sharing my story, I can provide some useful lessons for navigating the road ahead for all of us. So let me start with lesson number 1. Keep going. Maybe you heard this famous quote from Albert Einstein. Life is like a bicycle. To keep your balance, you got to keep moving. And you know what? That encapsulates so well the first lesson I want to share with you today. Every one of us will face adversity in our lives. But as you are already learning, it's not about setbacks or failures. It's about how you respond to them, how you find meaning in them, how do you pick yourself up and find a way to keep going. The members of your class will always remember as the ones who had to go home in the middle of your senior year. When you left, you probably didn't even realize that was the last time you'd be together as undergraduate students at BU. So you know what it feels like to have something taken away from you suddenly and unexpectedly. In my life, I've experienced this in a big way. One of my earliest memories is from when I was 5 years old, when my family fled Shanghai following the end of the Civil War in China. We left in the middle of the night, leaving behind most of our possessions, our life as we knew it. We did not have time to say goodbye to our relatives and dear friends. It was very difficult. My parents took us to the rail station. I still can remember the sounds. A veritable symphony of chaos. Rail tracks screeching, children crying, and conductors shouting. Well, we were lucky. We were ultimately able to get on the overnight train to Hong Kong to escape the dangers. We arrived with very few resources. Our new home was nothing more than one room, no kitchen, no toilet, no beds. But for many of my neighbors, life at the time was full of suffering. They lived in squatter settlements on the hillside of Hong Kong. Their homes were made of cardboard that easily caught fire. It was hard to find clean water. And many illnesses such as tuberculosis, and they lived in the most abject poverty. Well, these were tough times, but they shaped my view of the world. It is the reason I question the way things are and why we can't accept status quo. It is especially when people are suffering. For me, this experience is what inspired me to want to be a physician. But guess what? Sadly, my grades were good, but not good enough to get into the only local medical school. So I left everything and everyone I knew and went to Canada for my undergraduate studies, hoping I would be admitted to medical school. Well, eventually, I did complete a grueling medical residency program in the United States, but in a language at the time that was still somewhat foreign to me, in a culture that sometimes I still didn't understand. Those early days of training were really difficult. I felt inadequate, insecure, and isolated. And I experienced burnout. Now, maybe you can relate to my experience because of what you just went through this past year. You probably felt insecure, uncertain about your future. You were grieving, and you were forced to reckon with these feelings alone. I know that many of your peers were feeling the same way. Well, during my residency, I felt very much like that. My wife happened to be quite ill at the time, and I felt I was letting her down. At one point, she was hospitalized 4 floors above where I was working, but sadly, I couldn't find the time to be with her. I felt guilty. Now, have you ever made a decision when you're really upset that you immediately regretted and could not come back? Well, that's what happened to me. I made an abrupt decision. I quit. I left my program immediately, but I immediately regretted it and tried to return. But by that time, I was told there was no spot for me anymore. Well, I felt like I made a huge mistake, but I was determined to fix it. I kept going. And eventually, I found another training program that would take me. And after some twists and turns, which I'll tell you in about a minute, I ended up at Brigham Women's Hospital, just up a mile or so from here. Now, all right. How is this relevant to you? Well, you too will face uncertainties in your work and your personal life. You have feelings of isolation or loneliness, and you could experience outright failure. But the common denominator is that whatever's thrown our way, we have to keep going. Even if it means taking some detours, we stay flexible and resilient and adapt as best we can. So failure adversity is not a bad thing. Sometimes it can bring you opportunities too. That is if you're open to finding it. This brings me to lesson number 2. To keep going, you need to find your purpose in life. I know the pandemic really disrupted your college years. Many of you had to go home, finishing your degree from your childhood bedroom, isolated from your friends, your professors. Some of you really had difficulty, a difficult personal circumstance to deal with. I know it's a tough time, but you kept going. The secret is that it's a lot easier to keep going when you have a purpose or deeper meaning. So what motivated you? I suspect many of you, the determination to earn your degree was enough to keep you going. You found a purpose to graduate college and move to the next stage in your life. But now that you've graduated, what will be your future purpose? Well, you have to find out what really matters to you. Some people find purpose through their work. Some are inspired by their relationship with others or by serving others, especially the underprivileged. A true purpose is an act of giving and receiving. Finding your purpose will help you just as much as it may help others. Some of you may be familiar with Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who wrote a landmark book called Man's Search for Meaning. And he famously said, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how." For me, my why has been a deep commitment to service and to make a difference. I want to do research to find cures for heart disease. I want to improve people's health and eliminate health disparities, which led me to Duke, which I served as 10 years as CEO of the health system. I want to be involved in global health and share the benefits of science and medicine with those underprivileged and underserved all over the world. That leads me to lesson number 3. Find people and grow people. Surround yourself with people who care about you, support you, and help you keep going. And make sure you give back in return. Ask anyone who has achieved a modicum of success in their lives, they no doubt will tell you they couldn't have done it alone. Ask yourself this question: could you have made it through the past 4 years, and especially last year alone? Think about all the people who supported you along the way, from your parents, loved ones who gave you unwavering support, to professors that took extra time to help you master something difficult, and to your friends who had always had your back. I certainly felt this way. From the very beginning, I saw how my parents made sacrifices for me and my siblings. They risked their lives to escape from China for us. They worked hard to save money to ensure that we get education, including spending their savings to send me to Canada. Now, earlier I mentioned that I quit my residency program and couldn't return to it. It was a very difficult time, but 2 people came to my rescue. First, my wonderful wife, to whom I've been married now for 49 years. Thank you. She was ready to sacrifice everything to support me and suggested I volunteer to work for free at Brigham Women's Hospital. That's how it started. Then I had the fortune of meeting Dr. Eugene Braunwald, the legendary chair of medicine, who's willing to take a chance on me when I was an unproven young man from Asia. He was kind, generous, supportive. Not only did he teach me medicine, he taught me important lessons in life, for which I'm forever grateful. He became a lifelong mentor for me, and by the way, he did pay me for my work as a trainee. But that's why I feel so strongly about being a mentor myself and helping people grow professionally. And mentoring is not just about teaching. It's about caring. It's about giving unconditional support. Well, I couldn't have made it without mentors like Dr. Braunwald and many others. So graduates, cultivate mentors in your life. Never forget people who are there for you when needed most. And make sure you're giving back in the same way. Be the person that others can count on when they need you the most. So this brings me to my last lesson. Keep caring about the world. Keep trying to make it a better place. Well, the last 20 months, COVID has revealed deep divides in our society. We have seen how COVID disproportionately affects communities along racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic lines. While most of us transitioned to remote work from the safety of our homes, many others didn't have the ability to do so, and they had to risk their lives on the front lines. Many people lost jobs, livelihood, and even homes. COVID has unmasked and aggravated inequity and injustice. I'll be the 3rd person to cite Martin Luther King Jr. because he's a BU alum. And he said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Whatever affects, you can clap. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. While growing up as an immigrant and refugee, I can't help view the world this way. I've seen injustice, discrimination, unequal treatment, and suffering firsthand. And sadly, some of these same patterns are repeating themselves during this pandemic. So it's happening in the United States, it's happening everywhere. I'm deeply concerned about the equity issue. And I'm deeply concerned about, was that a plane? A train. I'm deeply concerned about the global inequity in COVID vaccine access. Do you know of the 6.2 billion doses of COVID vaccines administered worldwide? Only 2% of people in low-income countries has been vaccinated? I mean, that's unacceptable. We can't end this pandemic anywhere until we end it everywhere. Thank you. You know, if we allow the variants of the virus keep emerging, spreading, we may end up in a situation where vaccines don't protect us anymore. So I ask you to step up and get involved. In my current role as the National Academy of Medicine president, I've been deeply engaged on this issue, both in the US and globally. I've been engaged with the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board, COVAX, you might have heard this, the Global Collaboration for COVID Vaccines, and work with national leaders, including the Biden administration, to ensure equitable access to COVID vaccines, treatment, and testing. My own experience has only reinforced the urgent need for solidarity and collective action to end the inequity and devastation of this pandemic. Apathy is a luxury we simply can no longer afford, especially when we face big global challenges such as pandemic and climate change. We have to work with each other. We have to cooperate with each other in our communities and across borders. We have to keep caring. So, class 2020, let me leave you with this. As we ride our bicycles through life, let us remember, to keep our balance, we must keep going. Even if that means go over some bumpy patches or changing your path. To keep going, we must always have our destination in mind, find our passion and our purpose. To get there, we need each other, our families, our friends, and all our fellow human beings, near and far. And we should all work to make the world a better place. So, resilient class of 2020, I have great hopes for your future. Today is your opportunity to celebrate, to get that special moment back you lost in 2020. Let's enjoy this very special day with your families, with your classmates and friends, and reflect on your 4 great years at BU with fondness, love, and pride. Congratulations again.
Please be seated. We shall now present the class of 2020.
Mr. President.
Provost Morrison.
Mr. President, I have the honor to call for the presentation of the members of the class of 2020 as recommended by the faculty of the colleges and schools of Boston University. And to all the members of the class of 2020, as your school or college is called, please stand and then remain standing until all the schools and colleges have been called.
Mr. President.
Professor Preston.
Mr. President, I have the great honor to present the 2020 Arvind and Chandan Nandlal Kilachand Honors College Scholars.
Mr. President.
Dean Park.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present the members of the School of Theology, Class of 2020.
Mr. President,
Dean Najam.
President Brown, I have the great honor and tremendous privilege to present to you the members of the most wonderful Pardee School Class of 2020.
Mr. President,
Dean Leone.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present the members of the Henry M. Goldman School of Dental Medicine Class of 2020.
Mr. President,
Dean Delva.
I have the honor of presenting the School of Social Work Class of 2020.
Mr. President.
Dean Onwachi Willig.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting the members of the School of Law Class of 2020.
Mr. President.
Dean Antman.
Mr. President, I have the honor to enthusiastically present the members of the class of 2020 of the School of Medicine.
Mr. President.
Dean Upnaja.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present members of the School of Hospitality Administration, Class of 2020.
Mr. President.
Dean Galea.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present the members of the School of Public Health Class of 2020.
Mr. President.
Dean Chard.
Mr. President, it is my honor to present the Wheelock College of Education and Human Development Class of 2020.
President Brown.
Dean Young.
I have the honor to present the members of the College of Fine Arts, Class of 2020.
Mr. President,
Dean Zlatova.
I have the honor to present the members of the Metropolitan College Class of 2020.
Mr. President.
Dean Moore.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present the members of the College of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences, Sargent College, Class of 2020.
President Brown.
Dean Luchin.
President Brown, I have the honor to present the members of the College of Engineering Class of 2020.
President Brown.
Dean Fournier.
President Brown, I have the honor to present to you the members of the Questrom School of Business Class of 2020.
Mr. President.
Dean DeChristiana.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present the members of the College of Communication, Class of 2020.
Mr. President.
Dean Skaroff.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present the members of the College and the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, Class of 2020.
recommendation of the faculty and by the authority of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts given to trustees of Boston University and entrusted by them to me, I hereby officially or formally confer upon you the degrees that you have earned, together with all appropriate honors, privileges, and responsibilities, in token of which you have been granted diplomas. My congratulations to you all. Before you are seated, I would like you to salute your parents. Your accomplishments are built on the support of your family. Please turn to face them now and acknowledge once again their role in you reaching this important milestone. Please be seated. The commencement ceremony celebrates the achievements of each of our students, but it means much more. It celebrates the accomplishments of a great academic community, a community where you have studied and worked together in classrooms, laboratories, studios, and on Zoom. It celebrates not only your accomplishments, but also the efforts of the faculty and staff whose dedication has helped lead you to this marvelous day. On your shoulders rests the enormous responsibility for guiding America and the world, and for addressing the substantial challenges we face. You are the future for this university, for the country, and for humanity. Among the class of 2020 are those who commissioned into the armed services of the United States. You have chosen to dedicate yourselves to the protection of this country. This university is proud of you and gives you its our sincerest thanks. Wherever your tours of duty take you, Godspeed. To all of the class of 2020, as you leave Nickerson Field, remember you are part of a long line of Boston University graduates, stretching over time to include 352,000 living alumni of this great institution. Your accomplishments will be part of the fabric of our legacy. Your Boston education has prepared you. Make the world a better place. Congratulations.
Will all faculty members, graduates, and their guests rise as Mr. Rizam Lindsay leads us in the singing of Clarissima. Words and music may be found on page 13 of your program. Following Clarissima, please remain standing for the benediction.
Treasuring the best of all that's old, searching out the new, our alma mater evermore held be you.
Dr. Mary Elizabeth Moore, Dean Emerita of the School of Theology, will deliver today's benediction. Following the benediction, the 147th commencement of Boston University will conclude. You're all invited to join us at a reception celebrating the class of 2020, which will take place on the sides of the field. And we ask that members of the class of 2020 and guests remain in their places until the platform party, faculty, and alumni council have left the field. Thank you.
Beside the River Charles, beneath life-bearing clouds, seeing sparks of sunshine touch through, surrounded by the warmth of people you love and respect, we gather. We are held by the holy, known by many names, as we breathe in the sacredness of this moment and give thanks. Graduates, you are the stars today, the stars shining through the cosmos. May the holy light that shines through your lives enlighten a world hungry for your knowledge. Offer hope to a world deep in pain and injustice. Shine as a beacon in storms, as you have shown through the storms of 2020 and now even 2021. And as you will shine through the storms yet to come. You are the stars today. May the holy bless you so you might shine your warmth and light on the future that awaits you. In the spirit of all that is holy, good, and just. Amen.